Okay, we're good. Okay, terrific. We're going to start the Fighting 69th Irish Whiskey Conference call.
Not sure.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining. I'd like to welcome everyone to the investor video conference call for the Fighting 69th Regiment Fine Irish Whiskey, or more commonly known as the Fighting 69th. My name is Todd Silva. I'm an executive director at Las Olas Capital Advisors. The call is being recorded, and all participants' lines are muted until the Q&A starts. With me are Jay Maltby and Chuck Shan from the Spirits Group, the founders of the Fighting 69th. And from Las Olas Capital Advisors, we have Kevin Rudden. Our firm, Las Olas Capital Advisors, created a single-purpose LLC vehicle to invest directly alongside the founders of the Fighting 69th. For that, we're raising $9 million for a 40% interest in the company. We have an exclusive arrangement with these founders whereby we're the only outside investors in the business. We plan on closing this deal at the beginning of October. We think this investment is truly a unique opportunity, the kind of which we rarely see here, and we see a lot. I suspect that after hearing from the principals today, you will agree. So at this time, I'd like to turn over the call to Jay Maltby and Chuck Shan, the co-founders of the Fighting 69th. They're going to spend a little time discussing their vision and the execution of it. Okay?
Hi. Thanks. We have an interesting brand. We're raising money for, obviously, and it's built around the Fighting 69th, which is a regiment in the U.S. I don't know. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an Irish whiskey product, and Irish whiskey is one of the hotter categories in the industry right now. We recently sold a brand that we developed called Angel's Envy Bourbon, and Angel's Envy was a U.S. Kentucky bourbon whiskey, and it is one of the hottest brands in the industry, and still is. It was purchased in April 2015 by Bacardi. That product was a huge success. Most of us were not in favor of selling, but most of us on the industry side knew that it could very easily be $1 billion brand that would stay at it or kept it longer. As it was, it went for 150 million after 4 years. And
hey guys, is there any chance we could get this the phone closer to Jay, please? Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, I'll speak up a little more, but if that helps. The Angel's Envy being a very successful hot brand, and we launched another brand on the heels of Angel's Envy called Papa's Pilar Rum. The Hemingway Rum Company, we had a licensing agreement with the Hemingway family to do that, and that's also a very successful brand. It's still in the control of the original shareholders, of which I am, and is growing very successfully. It's being a super premium rum. It's not as hot a category as bourbon was, so it's going to take longer to build. But the most interesting category that we find right now and has been for the last couple of years is Irish whiskey. It and bourbon are the two hot categories in the whiskey spirit. Irish whiskey is growing at a very fast rate. Most of the growth is with Jameson, but there are a couple of other brands like Tullamore Dew is tripled its sales in the last few years under new management, new ownership, and it's grown to almost 1 million cases, and up from about 300,000 years back. So very, very significant growth in the Irish whiskey category, and that's in your presentation. We also want to talk a little bit about the brand itself. We built the brand around the Fighting 69th Regiment of the U.S. Army. Its historic. Its history goes back to the actually the Revolutionary War, our Revolutionary War, and the Irish militia that operated in or worked in the U.S. fighting against the British. And then after the Revolutionary War, our government gave them support so that, and allowed them to train as an all-Irish militia to eventually go and take Ireland back from the British, because we weren't all that friendly with the British at the time. So having that kind of a history and then fighting in many battles of the Civil War, they were given the designation as the Fighting Irish by General Lee on the South, because he knew whenever the green flag came out and the Irish soldiers came, that they were in for a real fight. So that carried on through the Civil War and World War I in France, and under World War II, and then right up until 9/11, where they ran bridges and tunnels in New York City as a reserve unit, and then fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. So there's not only all the history and the great tradition of the Fighting Irish, but there also is the current soldiers, and many of which are now out in the general population and support our brand. So I guess to talk a little bit about the branding itself, it's heavily built around the Fighting 69th and the regiment at headquarters in Manhattan on Lexington at 25th Street, and it's a huge edifice, takes up an entire block there, and the 69th in modern New York days is known very much for leading the St. Patrick's Day Parade every year, and they march in front of the parade with their two big Irish wolfhounds. So it's that the brand itself has a lot of tradition, has a lot of very big reputation within the U.S. Army. All the generals know it. Many of them participate in the St. Patrick's Day event. The recent General Dempsey, head of the Joint Chiefs staff, was there recently, and even sang the company song, which is Very Own, for the group. And he's a big supporter of the 69th. We've got a lot of support within the military and retired military, and in the Pentagon for the brand. And we have our licensing agreement with them. It allows us, or as part of our agreement with them, we donate approximately $1 a bottle to the 69th Health and Welfare Organization at the regimental headquarters, and there's also a museum there at the of all the historical things having to do with the 69. So back to the brand, what we look for in a brand are authenticity, a good story, and the words that really isn't made up. It's a real story that has a lot of touch points or things that consumers find interesting and allow them to share with other consumers so that they become kind of knowledgeable experts at the bar and can talk about things and share stories and touch points. With Angel's Envy, we have the story of when whiskey matures in an oak barrel, a significant portion of it is lost through evaporation every year. In the case of bourbon, it's about 6% a year that evaporates through the wood, and that's called the Angel's Share. So our whiskey is named the Angel's Envy because that's the whiskey the Angels get. And the other point we have is finished in port. And the third point was that Lincoln Henderson was from Mexico, and he was very famous. So with the Fighting 69th, we have all these tremendous stories having to do with the unit and with regimental history. And we then had that tied back to Ireland. And the 69th, Fighting 69th, is famous in Ireland. They learn about it in their schools as children. There's an annual event in Ireland where some members of the U.S. Army and retired members go over and we have a ceremony every year in Waterford. President Kennedy, when he went to Ireland, he actually brought them one of the battle flags from the Civil War from the armory, and it hangs in the Irish Parliament to this day. And everyone in Ireland can tell you that story. In fact, when I have talked to people in Ireland and people in our industry, others have mentioned to them that bringing out an Irish whiskey, celebrating the Fighting 69, they know all about it. And they can't wait. And they said, well, make sure you bring it here because we're going to drink it in Ireland. And it's already, there's already a bottle on the bar at the Irish Parliament. So it's a pretty authentic product that I think, we have more people here claiming Irish, they're of Irish descent than there are people in Ireland. So I think, and of course, one day a year, everybody does. And it's and they've had, although they were an all Irish unit right up until they went to France in World War I, and then during battles they would merge with other regiment units, and the percentage of Irish in the 69th dropped, but they all still consider themselves Irish. And anyone who goes in, whether they're from New York, whether they're blacks, or Puerto Ricans, or any other history, they all consider themselves Irish, and they all learn the history of the Fighting 69. The other thing is they participated in more battles and have more glorious history than any other unit. In fact, there was an act of Congress that enabled 69 to have a taller battle flag poles than any others, because they get ribbons for each engagement that they put on, and they didn't have enough room on there for all of the engagements that they've been around the world through the history. So their flag staff is by Congress an extra football. So it's very well known. And as far as the other thing we look for is authenticity in product. And we're working with a newer, about 10-year-old distillery in Ireland, owned by Irish, manned by Irish, and made by Irish. And they're very proud of it. It's called West Cork. It's in Cork. And it's an authentic, high quality Irish distiller, and they're a supplier partner. And we will have a presence in Ireland as well. So people will be able to go there and see the product is made. And what else?
I think one of the things you talked about, Jay, was the growth of the category, right? And if we look at in the U.S., Irish whiskey is the fastest growing category within spirits, and really driven by three brands. Jameson, it's one we're doing, two brands, and another large one called Richmond. But really the growth in Irish whiskey, and it's been, and the growth in Jameson and the occasion that we see is the shy occasion. And what I really like about the 69 is there is a ritual that happens at the armory, at the bar in the armory, in New York City, when an officer, if you look at the top of the bar, it's lined with these buttons, and when an officer falls or an officer is killed or dies by duty, so one of the rituals around armory and the regiment is to do a shot and remember your fallen brothers and sisters is to turn the shot glass on something. And so there's a built-in ritual to how Irish whiskey is done. That's really beautiful. Rather than just a shot with your friends, this is a shot with your friends, but it actually means something, remembering not only your current friends, but
why do you think the Irish whiskey category is growing more rapidly than other categories, particularly at the high end where you're going to be? And then why do you think it's continued to be more consolidated, less fragmented than some of the other categories? And how is that a template for what you think for that?
Sure. In terms of the why is Irish growing, it's actually on the backs of the bourbon growing. So bourbon's been resurgence of bourbon, people going back to it, as well as winning consumers going. One of the difficulties with bourbon is that it's a difficult drink, right? There's a harshness to it. And one of the things Irish whiskey is known for its sweet, right? So you don't have this harshness to it. So the people who like whiskey are exploring it more, and they're finding other ways to kind of expand their palate and community things that they like. In terms of the dominance, why is it dominated by Jameson or Homer, who which ones up until now? It's still dominated by it. Has to do with supply. So Irish Distillers is owned by Pernod Ricard, and the one majors, which owns Jameson. And they supply everybody, even Homer and Bushmills. And what they have actually stopped supplying other folks, as well as there was one other independent out there called Cooley Distillery, and Cooley Distillery bought Suntory, and they supplied the smaller brands. When they were bought by Suntory, they wanted to supply the smaller brands, and so they supplied the Irish Distillers like now, they'll lock down supply. Cooley's would supply the smaller guys, Bushmills and Distillery would supply. And what's happened and what's starting to happen is an investment into the Irish distillery industry, where there are 23 being built today for the past 5 years. 16 of them are out, and 7 more still. And so what will happen over the next 4 years after that supply comes online, since Irish whiskey 4 years, we call Irish, is there'll be version supply. So, other smaller brands will have access to that, which enables us, to have other sources of supply, grow up. And that raises the question, why aren't we building a distillery in Iowa? Well, there's a lot of investment going into that right now, and it's not all of the 24 will be successful. And so there will be plenty of opportunity to buy a distillery in Ireland over the next 5 to 6 years as some of these distilleries become successful.
Well, that's a good bridge into the financing here. The raise that we're working on here, partner with you guys, how far does that get you in your current business plan?
Yeah, so that is just to break even on our current. So the dollars that are being raised are going for inventory and marketing.
Right.
And there's a little bit for sales in there, but really the sales costs are being supported by the experience group, where we are basically contributing a large portion of our sales force today at a reduced cost. As a sales force on the cost, anywhere from $15 million for across the country, and what we're doing is we're supplying a national sales force.
But can you describe your distributor relationships as you go into the market here?
We actually, in our industry, we're a mandatory 3-tier system that was coming out of prohibition at the field. It was legislated as such, and each state was given the responsibility to establish their own regulations. And that, so we basically deal with about 50 different sets of laws that we operate in our industry. This also is a barrier to entry to people who don't live it because it is complicated. And so 17 of the states are actually monopoly states or control states, where the state is either the wholesaler and retailer or just the wholesaler. So we've all had experiences like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Spain, maybe Vermont, and every one of those states has a different philosophy and method of operating. But in all the remaining states that are open, what we call open states, that would be like Florida, where you have a licensed wholesaler that sells to licensed retailers, and consumers can only buy from licensed retailers, and that under the retailers include bars, restaurants. We call on-premise accounts, because the product is included on premises, and they have an on-premise license. And then in the stores, we call those off-premise accounts. But they're all supplied by the wholesaler tier. There are 3 major wholesalers in Florida, for instance: Southern, Republic National, and Breakthrough. And Breakthrough and Republic National are trying to consolidate around the country. And so then there would be only 2 major wholesalers. What's great is we have great relationships with all 3. Two of the 3 are in business basically in most markets because of decisions we made back when I was with the party. When we consolidated markets and wholesalers, for instance, California once had 19 wholesalers and now has basically 2 large full service wholesalers. When that consolidation happened, we picked the winner. So those who survived are with freaking relationships with them. Just pick up the phone. They're good friends. And when I left and built a team to build the Cruise and Run brand back in '95, and we built that brand nationally, we went to the non-Bacardi wholesaler. So we had a great deal of success building the brand with the non-Bacardi wholesalers, primarily the Southern Wine and Spirits and some other. That we also have a great relationship with them. So when we built Angels Envy, we picked whichever wholesaler we felt had the least conflict, or where we think we could get the best attention. And that meant that in some markets we would be the Southern Wine and Spirits, other markets would be the Public National. And in some instances, we found it was better to go with the smaller independent. And the smaller independents love it when somebody like us with our experience in building brands gives them a chance with one of our brands, and they really go way out of their way to get the job with. But eventually, we outgrow them, and we end up having to go with one of the big major. So I kind of hate to get a small guy started and then have them build the brand locally and then take it from them, and give it to someone else. But in a way, they're still very happy to have the opportunity because it helps them build their organization, get back to the brand, and even if knowing that eventually they're probably going to have to be the service as support. So it's a combination of factors. Some people, you'll hear them when they come into the industry and say, "Oh, great, I got Southern Wine and Spirits to take my brand nationally and do a great job." And then they find out there's just really a small piece of the pie in that particular wholesale house. They don't get the attention they thought they were going to get, and they end up having to hire their own people and build it themselves. And that is the reality of it. It's just not an automatic if you get a wholesaler that wholesaler can actually put you in distribution.
Right. You need one to help you build the brand.
Yeah. And really can't depend on them a whole lot in the beginning. They'll deliver, they'll carry your brand, they'll deliver it. After a while, they'll remember to pick up the reorder, but you better have your own organization. Right? And so that's what we've spent the last 5 years developing. And Spiritus is a professional organization. We've got 23 people in the field, and they around the country in key markets like LA, San Francisco, Denver, Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, Boston, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Florida, and we concentrate on the key markets, and those our people get out. They actually do the distribution work and build the get the product started, and then gradually the wholesalers begin to realize that the brand has potential. They're starting to do some volume with it. They're starting to make a little money with it, and that's what puts the brand on quota. They'll give it attention. They'll make sure that their supervisors are asking the salespeople how they're doing with it, or are they selling it, are they hitting it, take advantage of the brand opportunity, and that's when you begin to compound your growth. That makes sense.
So we're kind of blessed to have this mix of national, larger national distributors, as well as smaller ones. So it's really state by state, as we make the brand grow.
Yeah.
Whether it be part of the large one-seller house or small ones, depending on how community they are.
And at the outset with the Fighting 69, you're going to start in specific markets.
Yes.
You targeted the most attractive initial markets, and then you might have national rollout. But for the planning purposes that we've seen in depth, I think it's maybe 4 or 5 targeted geographic markets. Can you just comment on how that came about, why they were the attractive ones?
Well, the first one would be New York City. Even though New York City is a very big market,
Right.
I mean, that's what the big brand is.
Yeah.
Given all of the resurgence and soldiers from the city that are actually in the city.
A lot of Irish bars.
And a lot of Irish bars.
Right.
And many of those reservists were tops in firemen.
Yes.
So we already have commitment by consumer base there. So New York is about number one. Going from there, we go to Boston, from Irish community, down into Maryland, which again has a very strong Irish community, and then also working with the Texas across the country, selling through
Army, Air Force, exchange system, and also through the naval bases. But the base exchanges, PXs and DXs, are huge, represent huge volume. Retirees buy all their line of goods there, and they get a better price. And then of course you've got the officers clubs and non-commissioned officers clubs and bars and on the basis. And we've always been proud of support in getting distribution and all those spots. And we'll do things like in-store tasting there, and we'll do sampling. And one of the ideas we have is to actually use some of the reservists that are so knowledgeable in the history of the 69th, and have them go out and be ambassadors and go to bases and get presentations, and might be on what they did in Afghanistan, what they did in Iraq. One of the things that's interesting, there's a very interesting book written about the 69, but we'll see references in other books and movies and things about Route Irish. And in Iraq, from the Baghdad airport to the Green Zone, that road was manned by the 69, and it was their responsibility to keep it open. And it was one of the most highly bombed, ID bombed roads, and they had to keep it open. And everybody knows that it's Route Irish, and that I think is something we've been. Prep Bear was here he referred to his wild ride on Route Irish.
Yeah, well, I know the 69th also had a big role in the September 11th, post-September 11th rescue. It was a great history. Well, I thought maybe we'd open up and see if there are any questions from the lines. It's like looking.
Don't have to need to do it.
Unmute all. Let's see. We're just unmuting lines. If anybody has a question, just speak up. See if there are any. Okay, if not, what we'll do is we will end the call. I just want to say thank you, gentlemen, both, for such a comprehensive and also transparent overview of the plan. This is a co-investment opportunity. We want to be long-term partners with the Fighting 69th and the Aspiritus team here as well. We're not simply doing a capital raise in a traditional investment banking sense. I'd like to remind people that on my desk I have a framed copy of the following statement, and it says, "Take care of your reputation. It's your most valuable asset." And some people joke that I need to be reminded of it, but really it's a credo that I try to live by, and we try to work with people who also have that mindset, that deep-rooted belief. And I think that Jay and Chuck and the team at Aspiritus also take their reputation very seriously. We have a lot of opportunities here at Las Olas Capital Advisors to partner with a lot of different groups. We see a lot of deals, all of us. We only work on a very small percentage of those. So obviously this is one that we're very excited about. So if the opportunity is attractive to you, please check in with us, both myself and Kevin and Paul Tatter, who's not here with us today. Let us know promptly. We're collecting all the subscription documents now. We're looking to close this early October, so we need to have everything in place before that. And then on behalf of the team in closing, here at Las Olas Capital, thank you for participating, and we look forward to hearing from you. The recording of the call will be available just to remind you. Thanks again.
Thank you.